The Fueled by Death guest.
But cool, man. Let's talk about a little bit about your career, I guess. So we know that you play bass and that you are the tour manager for All That Remains, but we see your name tied into a lot of different bands, including like In Flames and Bury Your Dead. Can you talk about your past in tour managing and bass playing?
Yeah. I used to tour manage All That Remains.
Okay. So you don't, you're not wearing two hats anymore.
No.
Okay.
I'll get there. So
Okay, cool.
When I started, I don't know, I've played in bands a long time, through high school and into college, and would leave the state and go play shows and this and that. Would do some light touring, a month here, a couple weeks there, and I joined Bury Your Dead in 2006, and that was the catalyst for me to leave the state. I was living in northern Kentucky, just over the border from Cincinnati, and I was welding at a fab shop. We built these really awesome, huge cranes, and I was a certified welder, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed my job. It was great. And then, but music has always been my passion. I went to art college and all this stuff, and I always ended up leaving because the band I'd be in at the time, or would have the opportunity to tour full time, or we would get signed or something. And that's the only thing I ever cared about. When I was 20, 21 years old, all I ever thought about was, all I want to do is be in a van with stinky dudes and eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and travel the world.
Awesome.
I had all these friends, like Every Time I Die and Bleeding Through, and bands that I kind of grew up like watching and being around as peers, but they were touring full time, and Comeback Kid and all these other, I wanted it so bad. And so eventually, like, the time came when they kicked out their old bass player, and then right when they were doing the follow-up record called Beauty and the Breakdown, 2006, they had asked me to play because we'd been friends a long time. We'd done a bunch of shows with my previous band, and I was like, absolutely. So I gave up the job, and I'd been going to Jacksonville a lot because our old guitar player at the time, he was from there. So I'd go down and visit, and when you're in Ohioan, like, Florida's the place for vacation. That's where you go. So
Yeah, totally.
So I'd go down there all the time and hang out, and I love Jacksonville. I met all these awesome dudes down there, and we'd always have a good time, and it just made sense, like, wow, I don't have to go have a day job anymore. So why would I stay in Kentucky? How about I go where palm trees are?
Yeah, where it doesn't suck.
Oh no, and that's what's also cool about down there is it's affordable compared to California. You go out there and you're eating ramen noodles. You can go to Florida and you're eating barbecue every day, and you're not breaking the bank.
That's true. That's true. So let's go even farther back then. When did you start playing music? Like, what got you into actually picking up an instrument?
I can't even remember. I was very fortunate to have this awesome family who music was always in our house. My mom played guitar growing up. She'd play acoustic like every, I don't know, I think a lot of people did in the 70s. That's just flower power,
Oh, yeah.
Damn hippies.
Damn hippies. I grew up like them always having records and always playing music in the house, and they were into everything from James Taylor to the Scorpions, and like this whole spectrum in Boston, classic rock, and Madonna, you name it. But I also have a brother who's 10 years older than me. So when I was a kid, he was the cool guy in the 80s with shredded jeans and like a shitty mullet.
Awesome.
And I thought he was who I looked up to, and he had Ozzy tapestries. So he kind of really got me into Skid Row and Ozzy and Iron Maiden and all this other.
That's a good brother.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was exposed to so much variety of music growing up, and I have that. I think it's right side of the brain. That's just that I'm a creative, hands-on, eccentric person. I don't have that, and I'll be the first one to admit I don't have that book smart thing. I got the common sense and creativity, but when it comes to like being a nerd, I just ain't got it. I wish I did. I wish I could sit and just read tons of books, but that's just never been me. And plus, I have severe ADD, so like.
Yeah, book smarts is overrated. Ask Jeff.
Yeah, super overrated.
So like all through school, all I did was I used to pitter patter and play along to the stuff, and eventually my mom let me take lessons on her acoustic, and then for my, I want to say 7th or 8th uh, grade Christmas, they bought me my first like Fender Squier. I was like,
awesome.
I lost my mind. I was like, I have a real electric guitar. But they were always supportive and they always pushed me. And then when I was a freshman in high school, I went to an all boys Catholic school.
Whoa.
So it was primarily full of rich jocks.
Yeah.
And I've always played sports and stuff, but I was into skateboarding and punk rock and all this other stuff. So I stood out in my school, and I didn't get along with the majority of people there. But there were a few other kids, and we wanted to, we ended up talking like we should do a band. And the first day, like our first quote unquote practice, I show up there with my guitar and an amp, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you have to play bass." I'm like, I don't do that. So our first few practices, I played through an effects pedal,
geez.
octave thing. So I was playing bass on a guitar, and that was stupid.
Oh my gosh, what was the name of the band?
Oh, it's Window Pane.
Oh no!
I still have those old demos, and it's legitimately so embarrassing. Like the songs that we actually came up with. Listen, I think about it now, like as an actual like songwriter, the people that I've played with, I'm like, how are we so terrible? I wish I could send it to you. I'll mail you guys a copy, and you can put it in edit it in.
Dude,
the lyrics are literally like a 6-year-old wrote them.
Dude, yeah, please.
No
judgment.
judgment.
Teenagers.
Yeah, there's no judgment here. Jeff and I have played in 100 horrible bands.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, we were all young musicians at one point.
This is true.
But going forward now, I mean, like you said, Bury Your Dead, that was your first like major act that you joined and started touring,
Yes.
correct? So let's talk a little bit about where did the transition come from you actually being a musician to then actually the other side of it and actually becoming a tour manager?
So probably about 2008. So I'd been in the band for 3 years.
Mhm.
We were in I'll back up. We supported Five Finger Death Punch on one of their very first tours ever. It might have been the first one,
Okay.
if not like the second one, whatever. But we shared a bus within this, and there's this incredible tour manager named Jenny Douglas. Shout out to Jenny. She's actually coming out with us. We're doing these shows with Killswitch at the end of June. I actually got her to come out and TM us. So I'm so stoked.
That's awesome.
But she's in the industry. She is, out of all the TMs that I've met and people that I've been around, she's one of the hardest working, best tour managers / front of house people I've ever met. So I was just inspired. Like, she just absolutely killed it. I was like, man, like this is really cool. And I was like, man, like it'd be cool if I could, I don't know, like do this at some point. Like this would be a cool, like, if the band ever ended and I wanted to stay touring, like that, I think I could handle this, because I was always kind of, an organized one out of our group anyway. And then we were in this absolutely terrible van accident. We flipped 4 times, and in Canada, we all had to go to the hospital. And
oh shit.
our guitar player almost lost his leg, and it was a traumatizing thing. I had panic attacks for like a couple years after it, and it was really scary stuff. But so after that happened, our guitar player, he had to stay home, and then our tour manager, he had to go home too. So I just kind of like jumped in the seat and took over. I was like, well, we're on the support tour, like we're sharing this bus, and like we couldn't afford to bring a whole another TM out. We're like, we'll just share. So I kind of took over, started getting my feet wet with our band. And then after the time came, I quit in 2010. I started working for Unearth. We were good friends, and they were looking for somebody. I'm like, guys, like, hey, like, why don't you give me a shot? Let me come out with you. And I did such a good job within like the first 2 weeks. They gave me a raise, and they were like, man, you're one of the best TMs we've ever had in like our career. Like, for a band like that who'd been around for a long time, just to hear them be excited to know that you're doing a good job as your first real like paying gig.
Yeah.
So started with them. I went on to Hatebreed. I did Hatebreed for off and on for 5 years, and then went to Bring Me the Horizon. Did them at the beginning of the 2013 cycle, and did a bunch of other artists too.
Wow. So,
yeah.
and you don't do that anymore, you were saying, right? Now you're predominantly back to playing.
I mean, every now and again, like, I'm a hustler. Like I hate sitting around with my thumb up my ass. Like I like to keep busy. And
Yeah.
if we're not working, I ended up working for All That Remains. We toured together in 2006, and we did Soundwave together when I was in Devil Driver in 2011. Um, and so we'd always been friends, and they were looking for somebody, and so I ended up working for them. But the same thing happened with Devil Driver too. I was TMing them, and their bass player had to leave, and then they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "Hi, professional musician." Learn all the stuff, and I played for 2 years, and then
That's awesome.
but the same thing for us. Like Jeannie ended up quitting, and then literally 3 minutes later, Phil called me. He's like, "So you want to do this?" I said, "Yes, sir."
That's
Do you
awesome.
do you prefer just playing bass in a band rather than doing book work, tour managing and stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, like every every scenario is different. It also depends on the paycheck. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I love being in a band, but I wouldn't have left my professional TMing behind if it didn't. I'm a 35-year-old adult with a home and a wife. Like I got bills to pay. Like I've toured in SUVs, I've toured in vans with 9 other dudes, and I've eaten PB&J sandwiches and gas station food. Like I don't need to go back to that. Like
Right.
I've been there, done it. So even though music is my passion, if it ain't paying the rent, then I wouldn't have done it. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I actually got to TM a really cool Dutch band last year called Epica. They're absolutely phenomenal, and we weren't doing anything. We finished the record, and then we were like, we were kind of waiting it out. We wanted to set the record cycle up, and they were doing a U.S. tour, and I love them to death. They're all really, really good people, and yeah, it just made sense. It's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll go out. I'm not afraid to work. I've been blue collar my whole life. I am not afraid to get my hands dirty.
Yeah, man.
You're definitely a hustler.
So, speaking on gas station food a little bit, I'm always curious. So, just to talk about this a bit, you're jacked as shit. There's no other way around it. You're a very fit individual, and I always wonder how the hell do you maintain health and fitness on the road?
Once again, it depends on the situation. We're fortunate in All That Remains that we can tour on a bus. It keeps our safety, and it's worth investing in. But for the sheer fact that when you're in that scenario, what we do is we take each show you get a catering budget, and we'll usually take the majority of that, and we have a runner every day. We'll send him out and get groceries. We'll stock us up full of fresh meat and chicken, ground chicken and veggies and rice and stuff. I got a 16-inch like a skillet with a lid on it. We have a rice steamer / veggie steamer. We have, what else do we got there? We got all kinds of contraptions, but I cook 6 meals a day on the bus.
Damn.
Wow.
That's how you do it. So you must go to the local gym and pump some iron on,
Yep.
on your off time, right?
Yeah, obviously sometimes there's places that we've been before. We have friends that are like, "Oh, let me bring you to mine." But if we're in a city that we don't know, I just get on a Google Map or whatever. I just Google the nearest, gym or that meets our needs. Usually YMCA's are pretty good. They usually only have like $10 day pass or
Yeah.
There's a powerlifting gym is who I prefer, like a really environment versus going to I won't go to Planet Fitness.
Good.
But versus even like a Life Fitness or a commercial gym where it's AC cranked and jazz playing on the music. But I like I like a raw environment with you. Sometimes if you open doors and stuff, and it helps with the vibe and the mentality. Like I train hard, so being around that and like-minded people, it goes a long, long way.
Yeah, that probably helps that Phil's jacked as shit too, right? You guys probably spot each other and stuff.
He's my buddy. He started that journey a couple of years ago when I joined camp. Because I was always going, and I'm gonna come to the gym with you, and he's such a long way, and he's killing it now, and it's amazing because we were even. I don't know. I think it might have been like a week or two ago. He was showing me the pictures of right when I first started. Like, was pretty out of shape. He had some winter weight on, and he hadn't been working out. He used to do like cardio and some light working out. And was always like shredded, but he's got a small frame. So his metabolism is really good, so it's easy for him to stay lean. But he was never as big as he is now. He never didn't pack on meat. So he started coming to the gym with me every day. And, you know, he's like, I'm like, I'm feeling lazy. He's like, we're going. And I go, fuck, okay, let's go. It's awesome. And vice versa, too. I'm like, dude, get your ass out of that seat, off of Twitter. Let's go fucking work out. He goes, okay, I'm coming.
That's awesome.
We motivate each other, and it's really, really cool to have someone like that, you know, because it's, you know, it's not always fun being the solo guy doing offshoot and things. So it's cool when you have a teammate, and, you know, we all eat really healthy on the bus, and for the most part, yeah.
That's
awesome.
nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Probably was a little bit difficult before that or how long have you been like a giant fit person? Is this something relatively new, or have you maintained that?
Well, so when I was 19, you know, a couple of years before that, I used to shot, and there was I struggled with it. You know, I had no moderation and no threshold for just having a good time. You know, I had to get smashed, and I'd get myself into trouble. I was driving drunk. I mean, I was an absolute idiot. And then I was really fortunate enough to be around some really good friends back home who supported me and helped me get away from the people that were involved in that part of my life, you know, and like, and it's misery loves company, because even down the road, as I knew I had this issue and like I needed to get my act together. As I started even trying to taper off and getting better at it, I still want to hang out because they were my friends, but they would give me a hard time. They were just so unsupportive about it, and it became clear that, you know, like, look, man, I'm trying to get myself together. Like, I don't want to be, you know, end up in jail or, you know, be dead next to the toilet. Just not how I want to finish out my life.
Right.
So, you know, I got involved. Like, everybody was straight edge, and then, you know, like, and it was a big deal to me. You know, I got involved in the scene, and yeah, it was really, really cool. I eventually was like, you know, like, I want to do this for real, and then I kind of took on that commitment. It's been 17 years, and it was like the best thing I've ever done for myself was just staying away from that, because, you know, and it's almost like how I am, but sometimes, like, I'm a little better now, but I love snacks and treats.
Don't we all?
You know,
Yeah. You still there? We might be losing you a little bit. I'm not sure how your connection is right now.
you there?
Yeah, we're kind of cutting in and out a little bit.
But yeah, yeah. So I eventually got my act together, and you know, I would say I started getting into boxing. I boxed for 4 years.
Oh, nice.
And then around 2006 is when I actually started to lift. You know, like, you know, try to put on some meat, and I started sitting around 200 pounds and pretty lean and looking good. And since then, I mean, that's kind of was my turning point when I went from like a fit 175 to, you know, a more meaty version of me around 2006. So yeah, a little over 10 years, 11 years.
How much does that help you on stage, performing and like playing like really heavy music, being all over? Like, does it help to be fit, like rocking out on stage?
Well, I think so. I mean, it's nice not to be like, oh, I've got another half hour to go. I mean, how do I get through this? I mean, you should be up there able to have fun. You know, I think that's being on stage too. I mean, that's not even like hard. So if people are having a hard time doing that, then they need to fix their
Truth.
I mean, you really get to hang out and have fun. I mean, that's all you're doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had a couple shows where I've been like, ah, shit, I'm out of breath already. It's only second song.
Well, singing's is a much harder. Phil has a really hard job, you know. Like, that's definitely a bit more of a challenge. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's also nice. I mean, it feels good to, you know, there's always photographers there and stuff, and you see galleries and stuff that they shoot, and it's nice to go, oh, I look pretty awesome in that picture. You know, it's somewhat rewarding. I mean, there's a little bit of vanity there, but, you know, like, you're on stage and it's entertainment, a performer, and I like being up there and looking my best and feeling my best and it translating to fans, you know. I mean, without the people buying tickets and singing the songs back, you got nothing. I don't care who you are.
Totally.
Yeah. No offense to the dumpy balding guys, but like, you kind of got to look the part of a badass rock star, and you don't want to be some like whatever up on stage sweating around and not looking the part, you know. So yeah, it's not vanity, it's thoroughness of playing your part, I would have to say.
that's how I always looked at it. It's like if I'm gonna be up there, like I want to look awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. You want to look like a fucking Spartan up there, rocking like a fucking dude.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's
And
awesome.
And also, it's not always about just looking awesome. It's about sounding awesome too. And we want to just say how stoked we are for you guys with your new record, Madness, which you're on, correct?
I am on it.
So that's even more cooler. Can we talk a little bit about your process going into that? Because like you are relatively new to the band, like you said, just started playing with them, and now this record comes out. What was it like writing this record?
It was actually pretty refreshing for the sense because even going into it, I was kind of like, man, I'm kind of jumping in these dudes' process. This is the 8th record, and like I hope I don't just get like, I don't know, like cut out because they have, they've been doing this together for so long. But the kind of cool thing is that the way the songwriting approach to this record versus all the previous ones was very new to everybody. So it was almost like I came in on a really good record because Phil went out there and he worked with the producer and they were coming up with stuff, and I flew down there and we would have practices and write together and come up and demo everything that we had. We would start putting things together, and then when we went out there, same thing. We would all get in a room. We would go over we were like 25 songs or something. It was a lot of stuff.
Wow.
But the fact that it was new for everyone, it wasn't just Ollie coming in with all the material and then the other guys just rearranging it and like putting their own touch on it to make it the songs, because there's no place for me for that. Like Ollie's a musical genius. The guy I can tell you stories about him for days. For like what was it? The new record's in B, and we were at, I don't know, practice or where we were at, but he was like, he didn't have another guitar or something. I don't know. He's just like, I'll just transpose it. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you just on the fly? I don't know.
Is that drop B or is that B standard?
B standard.
Oh, damn, that's low.
Damn.
Yeah.
There's a progression. Man. I think the first Just Darkened Hearts in D, and then everything Fall Out Ales is in D, and then the middle 4 are in C sharp. And then this one's in B, so they just keep getting lower.
Yeah,
Barry Dead did that too. The first one was in B, and then they went to A sharp, and then down to A.
Oh man!
So you play a 5-string, right?
I play both. I usually use a 5 for the B songs, and then I'll use a 4 for the C sharp songs.
Okay. So
the whole record was done on a 5-string though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you play the B string as like the B, or do you drop the all the 5 strings?
I do I do the B up top, so B-E-A-D.
Nice. Cool.
Very cool. Well, I mean, the record's killer. It's really, I mean, I think it's a great representation of where the band is now, especially with you in it. And the music video you guys released for the title track off of it, Madness, is really rad too. The production value is great on that. Like,
he killed it. We were all blown away.
What was the inception of that? Was that? I'm always curious. Like, was that kind of from you guys, or was that the director kind of coming to you with that idea, or?
I'm trying to remember, to be honest, because we had so many treatments and we just kept going nope, because I don't know. There's always every video treatment always starts out with "There's a guy in the woods." And
you're totally right. You're so totally right.
I've done that video like 18 times.
I've been in that video. There's a cloaked figure in the distance. These treatments always sound so cheesy when you read them too, and you're like, "Fuck no." There's always like, "There's this creepy setting in a school, and there's this janitor lurking there." I'm like, "No,
no."
It took months to come up with something we like, but what happened was when we got together we were in New York. What were we doing? Oh, we were doing the photos for the record.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking with the label and everything, and kind of what we wanted to do. And I came up with this idea to like, why don't we just shoot in front of the White House?
Yeah.
Which would have been really sick. Like if the performance part would have been. So I think it obviously like that didn't happen, but
right.
I think part of that got pulled, and I think the band's always been very outspoken about its support for veterans, and
Yes.
Phil being a veteran too, and obviously the PTSD is a big issue amongst that world, and especially with him. He knows so many people that it's affected. I think it just kind of fell hand in hand. I can't remember if I might have not even been there for that conversation between him and I honestly don't remember.